to change this and they can come join when they get opportunity. The majority is knowing that criticism, not complacency is worse than
because I've just been told after this workshop I'm quickly going to just make some notes.
Gaurav Kapur.
Because after 5 minutes we know there's some more people who register.
Me over here, right? This is live. But if we took these cameras and we went backstage and we did a shoot and we said we'll edit it later, then it's recorded. Now you're like, it's the same thing with two of us sitting on the same chairs. Whether people are here or not here, how does it matter? I'll tell you how it matters. So when you're live, you genuinely have no wiggle room. Every second you've got to entertain the audience, right? So at that point in time, you have to break some really cardinal rules of a conversation. In a conversation, you don't want to cut somebody off, right? It's just rude. But in live, you have to do that. Because if I let somebody ramble on, my viewer has changed the channel and moved on, right? So I've got to stop. I've got to know, I've got to be brutal at that point in time. But when I'm recording and I have the option of editing afterwards, I can actually be relaxed. I don't need to be brutal. And what do? How do I get a person to open up? Besides these things of building your trust, the actual conversation. So some of the tricks of the conversation that I like to use, and I've learned over 15 years, look the person in the eye, right? You have no idea how much people will bare their soul once they know you're willing to listen, right? They can see me looking into their eyes. They, of course, can look at they can also look at my ears, and he's going to listen because, you know, he'd also listen to me if I was in the next city, but anyway. So look into the eyes. Don't be afraid of silence. I notice one thing that happens with Indians, we're very afraid of silence. You know, that's probably why we're such a noisy country, we're such a noisy people. We just, conversation stops. Easy. There's enough noise in the world, let's not add to it. Right? Be silent. Let the other person feel like there's no pressure that I have to call upon every thought to the front of my mind right now. Otherwise, this idiot's going to jump in and change the topic. I'm going to ask you a question, talk about something, tease a topic. I'm going to let you speak about it. Because I have enough, I can edit, right? I can edit whatever I want, I can bring it to the duration I want. So let you speak. So you will speak, you will stop. I'll stop, I'll look at you. I know you have a little more to tell me about this. So I'll wait. And then you can come forward. And then you will say something else. And once you realize that somebody is wanting to listen to you, you definitely want to open up to them a little more. I also use another trick called nudge words. Nudge words is one of my favorite tricks of the trade. Unni and I, in fact, were discussing this yesterday. And this is actually the first time I'm talking about it. I've never really shared the trick with anyone. But when I told Unni yesterday, he said, that's right, you do this. So nudge words I find supremely interesting. Sometimes, and this is when you get to know, when you know your subject from before, right? It's very important to know your subject from before. So when the person is talking about something and they're telling you something, sometimes they stop because we also, sometimes get lost in our thoughts, words clash with each other, things are happening, you're thinking about chola bhaturas being made at home, there's 100 things that are happening. You use nudge words inside that can actually push the person in the direction that you want them to go, right? So, for example, if VVS Lakshman is talking about the great partnerships that he's had, and sometimes the pressure is just immense, and and if he stops, all I have to say is like Eden Gardens. Nudge words. Suddenly he's taken back to that Australia test match. He's taken to the pressure over there. Another story comes up. I can tell him that, by the way, Adam Gilchrist said you guys didn't give them a chance all day. Nudge sentence. It's not a question, right? It's not a suggestion. It's just a nudge. You're just fueling them a little bit to tell you more. And that's the trick of an interview, is if you can make yourself selfless, say it's not about me, it's about the other person. You are the third most important person in that entire setup. on my podcast, I'm the third most important person. The most important person is the guest I have, because I want to hear their story. The second most important person is you, who's listening to that story. The third most important person is me, because I'm only facilitating. I'm only the bridge between the story and you. And if you want to be an interviewer, that's what you need to do. The most annoying interviewers for me on television, have always, ever since I was a kid, have been the people who made wrong choices. And for me, I'll tell you what the wrong choices were. You could tell that the guest was setting up for a punchline, but the interviewer decided that they want to jeopardize that by planting their own punchline. That's a selfish choice. That's a wrong choice. That's a pompous and arrogant and vain choice. And that's not a choice that's good for the show or the story. I've watched cricket since I was 5 years old. Right? I genuinely love the game. I have watched it from the age of 5, so I just know these things. So for me, this is a natural progression of doing something because I have all the context. Then the knowledge keeps getting added on here and there. You'll keep picking it up. So the first thing I would tell you is, if you were doing a podcast, or you were doing an interview, or if you were doing a show, make sure it is a topic you are genuinely in love with. You're genuinely in love with, because then you have the context and you're not working then. That's not a day of work. You don't need to learn it. You don't need to fake it. And I'll tell you one thing in conversations, the moment you are faking it, your audience knows. You cannot fake sincerity. There is no way you can fake sincerity. If you're thinking here right now that from the time that you've been young, your interest has been music, but Spotify and Anchor and Kommune have come together and saying, hey, will you do a podcast on gardening? Right? A lot of people will tell you, oh, you must say yes first. If you don't have an interest in it, say no immediately. Say no to anything that you don't have an interest in, because it'll be a job, it'll be a chore, and you'll never feel fulfilled or satisfied. So context. Context comes with curiosity, it comes with genuine love. Coming back to the Sachin story. So how we build trust over there. Now Sachin is somebody I've known for a very long time, but Sachin is somebody who's very guarded. You know, he's very proper, he's very particular. So his team said, give us the questions. Said, I really don't have any questions. He said, then? So I was like, now? Then they said, how? I said, you say? They said, can you write a few? I said, I can tell the team to write them, but you can read them, but I don't think I will. They said, okay, just do the paperwork and then let's see how it goes. I told the team, I said, okay, do the paperwork and then leave it to me. This is how I build the trust. We did the paperwork, everybody's happy, boxes are checked. I reached the shoot. The first thing I tell Sachin is, I said, Sach, this entire crew you see standing here, these are my people. This is my team. From this moment on, they are your team. This show is your show. You speak freely. Whenever you say cut, they will cut. Whenever you say you want to say something again, we'll break and do it again. Whenever you want to say don't put this in, we will cut that out.
While we know all the news that we come across in the media, but the stories of what he felt in the middle of that action, you know, it was a very human connect, and it broke all the barriers. The trust that you were talking about, we were really able to build that trust in that conversation. So that really made a deep impact in the way I sort of approach my conversations with other people. Yeah.